Hey, movie fans, the first thing I want to talk about is my review for Transformers Rise of the Beast. So let me start with the positives with this movie. CGI looks great. I thought the action was great. I like the fact that you can actually track like the Bumblebee movie. This is my favorite Transformers movie. That you can actually track the action. You can tell who the Talcons, who the Maximals, and who the Autobots were in this movie when it comes to action scenes. Because sometimes in the microwave Transformers movies, I couldn't tell what the hell was going on in the action scenes. They all looked the same to me at times. So you couldn't tell who were the bad guys, who were the good guys, like who was fighting. So to me, I just prefer the action scenes in Bumblebee in this, where you can actually track and you can tell who's fighting who. So I thought the action was great. Like I said, CGI is great. Peter Collin, who's always done the voice of Optimus, does a great job. The whole voice cast does. Ron Perlman as Primal Optimus does great. The actress who does the Ego character from Beast Wars. Let me just say this: Beast Wars is my Transformers. Like that's what really got me into Transformers. So I was excited to see these characters in this. So I thought they did a great job with the look of the characters. They felt like they looked like from the animated series. And the other positives I'll say about this movie is that I thought they gave a great story arc to Optimus. He him I thought his character had the best story arc in this movie when it comes to consistent story arc. Like I love the idea of him not trusting humans at first and him learning to work with humans as the movie goes along. Like I really love that whole story arc with Optimus in this. And that's one of the others I'll say about this. Another positive is that the Transformer characters actually feel like characters in this. One of the things about Michael Bay movies is that his version of Autobots felt like cartoon characteristics. They didn't feel like real characters to me. Like the voices sound like characteristics of like people, not actually real people. So I like the fact that all the Transformer characters felt like more like real people to me. Which is something I feel like Michael Bay just didn't a lot of times do a good job of. The next thing is that I like the human characters in this. I thought the girl was fine in this. You have the guy from who was in the Heist movie, which is he's a great actor. So I was like, you know what? This is the movie. This is a movie where I some of the better human characters. And I thought Rawaz was great. He was like to me, him Optimus had the best story arc, and him and Optimus were the standouts in the Autobot side. But I love Rawaz. Pete Davidson does a great job in this. Like he's the standout Autobot character. Negatives with this movie is that it's predictable. It does stuff you've seen in other Transformers movies with the whole they need to find an artifact. And there's a lot of convenient stuff in the third act where you just feel like, well, that's really convenient. They do it a couple of times. So it's, like I said, it's too convenient at times in the third act how they like get out of this. Another negative thing with this movie is that this movie had a potential to have a great main human character again. I think the guy who was from In the Heights, who plays lead character in this, they said the idea that his brother has an illness and that he needs money to help out his brother, his mom. They also referenced he was discharged from the army. They set that up to begin. I was like, okay, you're giving this guy kind of actually a really great solid backstory. And then they dropped that and they bring it up at the very end again. And I'm like, you had the potential to be a great character there, and you just kind of like dropped that whole stuff. He ends up being like one of the better human characters, but he could have been a great human character though. So I feel like they had a missed opportunity there. And as a Beast Wars fan, the Beast Wars characters aren't in this enough. I like the idea of Palmer Optimus. I liked his story of him being like disappointed in Optimus Prime at first that he didn't turn out what he expected at first in the movie. And I thought the ego character of Beast Wars was given a good amount of screen time too. But they show at the beginning and then they disappear. You don't see them all together towards the end. Cheetah has barely any lines, and the Rhinos, the Rhino character, has no dialogue in this. He's just in there for the ass. And so, as a Beast Wars fan, they're not in this movie enough, but it sucked. Overall, I enjoyed this. I will put this up with the first Michael Bay Transformers movie, but nowhere near Bumblebee. The next thing I want to talk about is Fast X. Now, I'm a big Fast and Furious fan. And I'll be honest, I wasn't excited for this. Like, I had no interest in this in theaters. I waited to became available digitally. because the last three movies sucked in my opinion. They went way too far, and I felt like without Paul Walker, it just didn't feel the same. And look, you can continue a franchise without a character, but the quality just went downhill in my opinion. They got way too ridiculous. So when we start with the positives, it has some good hand-to-hand combat scenes, hand-to-hand combat scenes. The action's decent. John Cena's, I like his character better in this. And then the biggest positive is Jason Momoa. He's the most entertaining part of this movie. He makes a great villain. He's like his villain is kind of like a Joker X quality to his character, where he's definitely comes off like a threat and dangerous, but at the same time he has a bit of a fun side to his chaotic nature. So I would say he's probably maybe the best villain, maybe second best because I really love Deckard Shaw from Furious 7, but I would say he has this. Jason Momoa is the better villain. He's just very like fun and entertaining in this movie. The negatives with this movie is that it's messy. You have all these characters, all these different plot lines, and this movie has way too many characters now. This family has become too big in this franchise. I'm just like, it's too many characters. And you introduce new characters. Like, I like B. Lawson. I like the guy from Aquaman, but there's like too many characters to keep track of now. You have all these side stories where it just doesn't feel like none of it connects. And like I said, messy movie. The characters don't feel like they're in danger anymore. Like Van Diesel's character basically feels like superhuman now, where he doesn't get injured or scratched. And I don't buy I don't buy his characters on danger. It's left on a cliffhanger where it's like Dom and his son are in trouble. And it's like I feel nothing. I don't feel like they're in danger. I feel like they're gonna get out of it. The cliffhanger and the way the movie ends is abruptly. I'm just like, it feels like you took half the script of one movie and you just didn't finish it. I know originally this was gonna be a two-part, and I said Vin Diesel saying he wants to make a third movie too, and I'm like, oh god, don't. This does not need to be tracked out to a trilogy. And yeah, just like, and also the fact you kill off John Cena's character, Dom's brother in this, and then you bring Gal Gadot back and play Wonder Woman. Don't care, dude, is the girlfriend of Han. I'm just like, well, you brought Han back, and then the reason you brought, and then you show the reason why he came back was stupid, and it's like you're bringing characters constantly back, so it's like I don't feel like these characters are in danger. So when you kill off John Cena's character, I'm like, well, he's probably going to survive and come back somehow. So, and also John Cena's character, I like his character in this better, but he doesn't feel like you put his character next to it. The fact he was a villain in F9, a serious villain who I thought he was terrible in that movie, but it does not feel like the same character. So that ship just felt off. You put these two movies next to each other. So that's this movie's terrible in my opinion. They need to just like instead of end this franchise after Furious 7. So I can't recommend Fast X. I have no interest in seeing like the next movie or if they make it three movies. The next thing I want to talk about is the producer of my website. It's more of a thriller than an ass, and that does have me interested because to me, it's a weird lead character to make a movie about because she's not really an ass type character in the comics. I remember from the 90s anime series, I know there's other versions, so I'm not really that like I'm interested because of the Marvel movie, but it's a weird choice for a character. But I do like the fact they're saying it's more of a thriller than an action movie because I think that fits just the character more. Again, not one of my most anticipated movies, but that has me a little interested when it says more thriller than an action movie. The next thing I want to talk about is Sony saying they sent an updated version of Spider-Verse where you can actually hear the dialogue. But I love hearing this because I know me and some of my friends had issues hearing the dialogue, especially at the beginning. So I just love hearing that, and I hope this, I think people are already going to go out and see this movie repeatedly. But I think this is great for people who, like maybe some of my fans who had, and like me, who had trouble hearing the dialogue at the beginning at first. So I'm glad Sony is doing this. It is great they're doing this. So, plus we get more people to see Spider-Verse Cross Spider-Verse. But again, fantastic movie. I highly recommend you see that. Until next time, movie fans.